In 2022, an historic Supreme Court decision overturned nearly 50 years of constitutionally protected abortion rights for birthing people in the U.S. In this video, we're recapping what happened, how it affected people, how advocates responded, and what to look out for next as the struggle for reproductive rights continues.
They say no choice, we say pro-choice.
Even before SCOTUS issued its final decision, the leak of Justice Samuel Alito's initial draft opinion made it clear that we should be tracking how individual state governments might respond once decisions around abortion access were in their hands. 13 states have trigger law bans in place, which would make abortion illegal as soon as SCOTUS reverses Roe. A number of states had abortion bans on the books before Roe was decided, but the courts blocked them from being enforced or invalidated them altogether. This history increases the likelihood these states will ban abortion if Roe were to be overturned. In recent months, several states have passed legislation restricting access to safe abortions by imposing gestational bans and limitations, including Florida, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Texas. There are also many states that plan to uphold and defend abortion rights. 10 states have included language in their constitutions protecting a birthing person's right to reproductive autonomy. States such as New York, Vermont, Connecticut, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Colorado, Maryland, Rhode Island, and Delaware have all passed legislation that protects and in some cases expands abortion access. And Fatima Goss-Graves, the president and CEO of the National Women's Law Center, made it clear that her organization would continue to support birthing people. But the onus was on Congress to codify and protect their bodily autonomy.
The National Women's Law Center fights for gender justice and works across the lives of women and girls. And so we will continue to fight for reproductive freedom and abortion access and in ensuring that people can get it. I think we will continue to use the courts, but the courts aren't going to save us. We cannot litigate our way out of this problem. We are going to need a federal law that makes clear, whether it is embedded in the Constitution or is passed by Congress, that this is a protected right. We shouldn't have to be doing it state by state, county by county.
And then the court made its decision to overturn Roe v. Wade official on June 24, 2022. Birthing people across the country were left riddled with questions and worries about their health care.
Change now! Change now! Change now!
As dozens of abortion clinics have closed, crossing state lines for abortion care became a burdensome necessity for many more people around the country. For those facing financial strife or a lack of childcare for their already existing families, lengthy trips to find care aren't even an option. And with laws differing from state to state, abortion seekers and providers now needed to consider the potential criminal consequences of the procedure. Former federal and state prosecutor Tali Fajardian-Weinstein broke down how people experiencing miscarriages, which can require abortion services, might be impacted legally.
Sometimes the appropriate medical treatment when you're having a miscarriage is to get what is technically an abortion to help you continue to evacuate the fetus that you have lost. It is possible that two things could happen. One is that an overzealous prosecutor could use an abortion prohibition against the woman, against her doctor, against a helper in those circumstances. But I think equally concerning, this is really important, is that there's going to be a chilling effect on doctors. So a doctor might say, I know I need to give that to my patient. I know I need to help her evacuate here, but I'm worried. I'm worried that if I do that, I will be exposed to criminal liability.
Dr. Jody Steinauer, director of the Bixby Center for Global Reproductive Health at UCSF, explained how abortion bans affect not only OBGYN students, but also the birthing people in the states they plan to serve.
We did a study recently where we found that 44% of all OBGYN residents, that's more than 2,600 residents, are being trained in programs in states that either are currently banning abortion or are likely to ban abortion. So even if we have to train a quarter of those each year, because it's a 4-year residency program, that's more than 650 OBGYN residents per year that are at risk of not being trained to provide the skills they need to provide. Being able to provide abortion care is so central to the OBGYN identity that we're worried that fewer medical students will want to train in states with restrictions, and that residents who are trained in states with restrictions will want to leave after training. And many communities lack enough OBGYNs to begin with. So we'll be seeing that these states with the restrictions will not have enough obstetricians to provide prenatal care and labor and delivery care.
In the midst of the chaos and confusion, abortion advocates remained relentless in their efforts to protect reproductive rights. In our series, It's Time, registered nurse Aisha George of Scottsdale Women's Center in Detroit, Michigan, shared how she and her colleagues began servicing patients from near and far.
After the Dobbs decision, it became even more imperative that I am here for patients, that I'm listening to them, that I'm making sure that their needs are being met. We have patients who are traveling from far away. I mean, recently I've had days where most of the patients I've served are from Ohio. We're seeing sometimes more patients from Ohio than we are Michigan. We're having patients come from Texas, from Louisiana I had a patient, so it's like we're seeing patients from all over the country at this time.
The overturning of Roe sent shockwaves through Washington, D.C., driving a wedge that was dividing an already partisan government even deeper. Although President Joe Biden had denounced the Supreme Court's decision, Democrats pressured him to exert more executive power in safeguarding reproductive rights and abortion access. And during the NowThis presidential forum, the president indicated his support for the allocation of federal funds for abortion patients who face financial burdens in seeking care.
Would you support a federal fund for individuals like myself who need to take time off work, obtain child care?
The answer is absolutely, but guess what? We need the same votes we need to overrule to reinstate the decision that was struck down by the court. I mean, I do support that, and I've publicly urged companies to do that. I've urged them publicly as President of the United States, saying, this is what you should be doing. I urge you to do it. Because there's so many, and imagine the women who need that kind of assistance but have no money at all to be able to do this. None. What do? They don't have the option.
Now that Republicans have claimed control of the House of Representatives and Democrats have maintained control of the Senate, it's unclear what 2023 will bring in regards to reproductive rights. But at NowThis, we know that abortion care is health care, and we'll continue to amplify the stories that you need to know as we navigate this new landscape together.